Welcome to The Explainer. You ever wonder how a company knows, really knows you're going to love their next product? Or how a government decides to roll out a new policy? Well, it all boils down to data. And today, we're going to unpack this surprisingly careful process of how they get that data in the first place.
So, think about it. How do we take all the complex, messy stuff floating around in our heads, our opinions, our feelings, our behaviors, and turn it into something clean and organized, something you can actually analyze? It's not magic. It's a system, a process, designed to do just that.
All right. Before a researcher can ask a single person a single question, they have to lay the groundwork. And that foundation, the absolute first step in this whole journey, is a little something called measurement.
Okay, so what is measurement? Think of it like you're baking a cake. Before you start throwing things in a bowl, you need a recipe, right? You need to define what a cup of flour is or what a teaspoon of salt is. Well, in research, measurement is the exact same idea. It's the process of defining what you're looking for and exactly how you're going to record it. And this isn't just some random guesswork. It's all about creating a clear, repeatable blueprint. The rules are there so that any other researcher can come along, see exactly what you did, run the same process, and ideally get the same results. It's all about making it objective and verifiable.
Now here's where it gets really interesting. Not all measurement is the same. Researchers actually use different kinds of rulers, or what we call levels of measurement, depending on what they're studying. I mean, you wouldn't use a measuring cup to check the temperature, right? Same idea here.
A really great way to picture these 4 levels is to think of them as a ladder. With each step you climb, from nominal all the way up to ratio, you're adding a new layer of detail, a new level of mathematical precision to the data you're gathering.
And this table just lays it out so clearly. Let's walk through it real quick. At the very bottom, you've got nominal. This is just about naming things, putting them in boxes. Think yes or no answers. There's no order to them. One step up the ladder, you get ordinal. Now you can rank the categories. That's your classic 1 to 5 star rating. We know 5 is better than 4, but we don't know by how much. Then we get to interval. This adds the rule that the distance between each number is equal. Think about temperature. The jump from 10 to 20 degrees is the same as the jump from 20 to 30. And finally, at the very top, you have ratio. This has everything the others do, plus a true, meaningful 0. Things like height or weight. 0 means a total absence of the thing.
So, if we look back at that most basic level, the nominal level, there are 3 really strict rules the categories have to follow. First, they have to be discrete. You're either in one category or another. There's no in between. Second, they've got to be mutually exclusive, which means you can't be in 2 boxes at the same time. And finally, they have to be exhaustive, which just means you've included a category for every single possible answer. All right, let's head over to the researcher's toolbox. So once you know what you're going to measure and on what level, you then have to figure out, well, how are you actually going to get that information from people?
A lot of the time, a researcher faces a big choice. Do you want to go broad or do you want to go deep? Surveys are for going broad. They're amazing for getting specific answers from thousands of people across the country, which lets you spot those big picture trends. On the other hand, you could go deep with field research. That's all about immersing yourself in a situation, observing people in their natural environment to get those rich, detailed insights that you just can't get from a simple questionnaire. And the toolbox itself is pretty packed. You've got the stuff we're all familiar with, right? Like interviews and questionnaires. But researchers can also get really clever and use data that already exists, digging through old records or documents, or they can simply observe what's happening. They can even tap into the massive, chaotic, but super interesting conversations happening on social media.
You have definitely seen this question before. I guarantee it. This is a classic Likert scale, and it's one of the most common and powerful tools in the survey world. And hey, if you were paying attention a minute ago, you'll know this is a perfect example of an ordinal level of measurement. We're ranking satisfaction. Okay, so let's say you picked your method, you went out and collected all your data. You'd think you're done, right? Not so fast. How do you know if the information you just gathered is any good? Well, this is where 2 of the most important words in all of research come into play: reliability and validity.
The best way to think about this is with a target. Reliability is all about consistency. If you throw 3 darts and they all land in the exact same spot, that's reliability. Now, validity is about accuracy. Did those 3 darts hit the bullseye? You see, you can be really reliable, hitting the same spot over and over, but be completely inaccurate if that spot is way off target. You absolutely need both to trust your data.
So, to put it another way,
A reliable tool is dependable. It's consistent. Under the same conditions, it's going to give you the same reading time and time again. It makes sure your results aren't just some random fluke.
And then there's validity, which is all about truthfulness. It makes sure your tool isn't just consistent, but that it's consistently measuring the right thing. For example, you could have a survey that consistently gives you the same scores, which is reliable. But if it's supposed to measure depression and it's actually measuring anxiety, then it's not valid.
So we've gone through all these rules and levels and quality checks. Why should we even care? Why go through all this trouble? Well, because the quality of your data collection, that very first step, affects literally everything that comes after.
And this, right here, is the bottom line. Every big policy decision, every scientific breakthrough, every new business strategy that's based on research, it is only as strong as the data it was built on. If you have garbage data coming in, you're going to have garbage conclusions coming out. It's that simple.
So what's the big takeaway from all this? I think it's that data doesn't just appear. It's carefully and deliberately built. And once you understand how it's built, from the level of measurement they chose to whether it's reliable and valid, it gives you this kind of X-ray vision. It makes you a way more critical and informed person in your everyday life.
So I'll leave you with this question. The next time you see some big headline with a statistic, I hope you'll pause for a second and ask yourself, how did they really know that? Because asking that one simple question can completely change the way you see the world.